Life is both simple and complex. Our past links us to our present and future. Some of us know our role and purpose. Most of us are trying to figure it out. Join me. Let's figure it out together.
Welcome, and this is the Ask Dr. Fritz show, the cable program that provides you information, people, and practices to help you live your life to the fullest. I'm Dr. Fritz Gillette, psychologist, and I'm in the studio with Karen Buster, who's my guest today for an episode where we're going to be talking about art and the intersection between art, psychology, and everything in between. Welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right, so I'd like to jump into this with you. When people come to see me, I usually get a little bit of their history, find out more about them and their background, and how they have come to do what they do. So Karen, I wanted to start off with just asking you some basic questions.
Sure.
You've been an artist for how long?
Since 5.
Since 5 years old?
5 years old. I'm going to claim it started then.
5 years old. So at the age of 5, you started creating what?
Well, you know, when I would come home and do my pictures at school, and come home and your mom put the pictures on the refrigerator.
Mm-hmm.
My mom used to take my pictures and frame them and put them in my room. So all the images that I had were framed and put in my room, teaching me what a gallery was at 5, and showing me the importance of having my images around me and how they can be protected and why they should be protected and that they were important.
Mm-hmm.
So that gallery setting went from age 5 to still gallery setting at 57.
I see. So, you know, many of us have encountered children at some point who pull out a drawing, and usually the drawing in and of itself may not have the highest technical, artistic value. But your mother would take your drawings, no matter what condition they were in, she'd frame them, she'd put them up, and that seems to have had an impact on you.
Oh, definitely, definitely. It let me know that I was creating, and what I was creating was important, and that I could create, and that you should keep it, that it was valuable, that it should be protected, and to continue to keep going in that direction with whatever I produced.
And would she hang them anywhere around the household?
Mostly in my room. Everything kind of stayed in my room to give me that gallery setting. Now, if you go into the house, my work is all over my parents' house. So I kind of moved out the room and have taken some of the other spaces in the house.
Mm-hmm. So at a very young age, you in terms of creating art, you developed this value. I heard you talking about the amount of artists and art in your environment as well.
Yes, I've come from a line of creativity. My mom's a designer and an artist, a brother that's an artist, a sister that's a dancer, another sister that's a poet. So creativity has been in my household and in my life, my entire life. We were always encouraged to create.
Mm-hmm. And with artists all around you, your art hanging on all the walls, you got an opportunity to develop your skills.
Correct.
Now, was it the first medium? I know that you produce art now using a knife.
This stage of art started as when I was in college. I had a T-shirt company called Bustertizing. I turned the attic of my dormitory room into a T-shirt company. So I taught myself how to screen print. It's the first time I ever used a knife to cut my stencils. Been cutting stencils since that time for 40 years. That's what primary got things going in terms to the level where I am now with creating with the knife and drawing with the knife.
And when you first started using the knife, artists I know go through periods, they go through maturation process. They may start with one medium and then move through periods where they are inspired by different things. Was there something you were inspired with from first?
Well, I guess good, bad, and different. I went through my share of Band-Aids in terms of having to cut myself
That's right,
while
using
working.
An X-Acto knife.
Using an X-Acto knife. But it also put me in a position where I perfected it. I am now starting to use some other avenues in terms of with my mediums. still afraid of a paintbrush, but something else that I want to pick up and start to use. I'm most comfortable with that knife. I'm very comfortable with that knife. So the challenge comes for me to go on another avenue and use something else. I was just talking earlier regarding taking my first drawing class, because I've never been in any art classes, but I know foundation is important. My uncle is an artist, and he said if you have this much space from your finger to your knuckle, you have this much space from your knuckle to your wrist, you have this much space from here to your elbow, and this much space from here to your shoulder. My arms may have been like down to my foot because I didn't have that foundation. And even though I thought it was creative, somebody else looked at it, it's not correct. So now, backpedaling, I want to be able to get some of the formal foundation included in what I'm doing now.
Let's talk a little bit about the content of your work too, because in terms of inspiration, you know, what are you moved by and what inspires you to create?
Everyday life, everyday life. This is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. My mom has had 2 stints with breast cancer. Something on that accord that caused me to create a piece surrounding it. Children, experiences, feelings, you know, it's a way for me to, if I'm having a bad day, have a better day, because now I can put it on paper and ease out what's going on with me. So there are all kinds of ways to interpret through my work as you look at it, to know you can see some of me in it, you can see some of yourself in it, you can pick something else out of it, and that's the whole idea with what I'm doing.
And when you create with a knife, can you tell us a little bit about the actual physical process of what you use and what you do?
Well, I'm using an X-Acto knife, and if you can imagine what stencils and or negatives look like, I draw with that knife and I cut stencils by hand. At 5 and 6 years old, when the photographs came from the store, I didn't look at the photographs. I looked at that negative strip. So at that age, my eye was kind of like trained into examining what I saw and taking out all the color. I saw nothing but negative and positive space. So as an adult, when I'm looking at work now and I'm looking at things and the things that I see, I do the same thing. I can look at you right now and see no color and just see negative and positive space. So looking at negatives at 5 and cutting negatives by hand is what I'm doing now.
And what I like about this work is that it really allows the person that's looking at it aesthetically but also perceptually to use their minds to fill in the proportion and the balance and project into the painting what they see. Can we talk a little bit about that?
Back to negative and positive space.
Negative and positive space.
Negative and positive space. When you're looking at something, I like you to be able to look at my work and really look at it, because you'll see some things in it that I don't see.
Yeah.
I see some things in there that you may not see. So it allows your eye to pull out what you need to, be it that negative or be it that positive, and coming together. I love geometrical shapes. I love geometrical shapes and patterns, because you can look at a pattern and see all kinds of things in it. And somebody else may just see squares, but you see so much more. So with putting my work together, that's the whole general idea. I wanted you to pull out of it what you need to pull out of, not necessarily what I'm doing.
You know, one of the things that I use as a therapist, as a psychologist, we call them projective tests or assessment tools. And what they require is that we either show people drawings or have them create drawings. And what they do by doing that is we learn more about their unconscious processes. We learn more about their emotional processes going on underneath. And what you just described reminds me of the interaction between the person that's looking at the artwork itself, and the artists themselves, who in their own state of mind, in their own space and place when they were creating this work, are creating this interaction, even if the artist physically isn't here in the moment.
Correct.
When somebody stands and looks at a piece of work, there's a lot going on there. And I think you and I talked a little bit
We
about
did.
that, how complex that is. And how your emotional state of being and how you're feeling when you create the artwork creates this physical object that then allows the person who, in their state of mind and their state of being, creates an experience that is subjective from all ends. Some pretty powerful stuff.
Very, very healing
Yeah.
and rewarding. I think as an artist, or for myself, I was an introvert. So my creativity allowed me to become an extrovert through my work. Ultimately, I had to become an extrovert through my speech because I had to talk about what people were seeing. I think as an artist, you can stand behind your work and be very silent and let a person interpret it however they want to. But it still allows you to be silent verbally, and you can see my work visually. As time went on, I realized I needed to talk about what it was you were seeing, because now we can have an interaction. Now you want to know how, what, when, and where. Now I want to tell you how, what, when, and where.
Yeah.
How strong possibility that something that you see have touched you that allows you to talk about what my work is now doing for you, which is soothing for me, because I know that I was able to reach someone through my gift.
I've heard you say and talk about bringing something to the mix and taking something or getting something from the mix. And I think of that in this interaction here. You also talked about not being much of a talker at first or a writer at first, and being an introvert. But to me, the artist in you has been extroverted from the very beginning, giving and giving and giving into these mediums. Success, you did it. You brought so many people together. Where has your art been shown?
Nationally and internationally. I've shown work as far as Senegal, the Gambia, Montserrat. I'm now in Staten Island.
That's right, New York City.
New York City. California, New Orleans, Louisiana, Alabama, Georgia. It's global. It's everywhere. You know, when a person gets a piece from me, they're taking it home, wherever home is. You have now taken a gift that I have, and you're taking it to your spiritual temple, which is a whole nother kind of party for me, because home is important. So you want to have a piece of my work in your temple. That's the greatest compliment that you can ever give me. You reopen the door, everybody can't come in your house. So
you're hanging in people's homes.
I'm hanging in people's homes.
I heard you're hanging in Denzel's household.
I am. Yeah, it's my share of celebrities as well. But those are people too. You know, way back, it was a show that came on, The Rich and the Famous. And I met Denzel in California at an event, and I had no idea he actually had the work right there then. I'm not sure if when I went downstairs he got it, or if I was upstairs. I saw the work when he was being interviewed on the show, and it was on his wall behind his shoulder on the couch, and that's how I saw it. And I'm like, wow.
That's how you found out.
That's how I found out.
You know,
that one, yeah.
And when you create like that, you put this much love, energy, and passion into something, it's going to have rippling effects. And many times you don't even know where or how you're touching people. And how it's touching me, because it was the greatest compliment I can ever imagine. Because, you know, that segment reached a lot of people that called me and said, I saw it, you know. When Charles Dutton, he had his show Rock, and I wrote in, you know, talk about my work and sent him some things, and I looked up, and I was doing T-shirts then, and he had my shirt on. And I jumped up and down on the bed like a kid because he had it on in the show. So it was just one more thing to say to me, keep going, it's working. You know, people like this, people accept this, people want this. You know, you're a walking canvas with what you wear.
You know, you're a walking canvas with who you are. So that was just another way to add on to everything that was happening with the work. When I did my shirts back then, and I would see somebody with a shirt on in the street, I would stop them. And what? I asked, where'd you get that piece from? And they'd tell me, and I'd thank them. And what are you thanking me for? I'm the artist. Whole nother task would happen then, and the person would be, really? Because they didn't expect to meet the person behind the craft. I didn't expect to see the person with the work on, but we needed to have an interaction for you to understand that I'm very appreciative about what it is that you've done and wanting to make this a part of you, even though it was a shirt. I'm very appreciative of the fact that you want to get a piece of my work and take it into your spiritual temple, into your home, because it's your home. That whenever anybody comes into your house, which is one of our biggest things that you can do to show off, this is where I live and this is what I have and this is my abode, be it a shack or a mansion, you have the work on the wall. And that's important. So.
All right. This is Karen Y. Buster. This is Dr. Fritz Gillette of the Ask Dr. Fritz Show, and I am talking with the artist here about her work. You've had lots of experiences over the last few decades of your young age of 57, you're saying? That's true. So young. Let's talk a little bit. You've talked to me earlier about the application of art and art instruction or using art in the field.
Right.
And you give me a great example of you using it in a particular situation. Can we talk about that a little bit?
Yes. Therapy-wise.
Ah, that rings a bell for me.
It rings a bell for
Therapy-wise.
you. I did a course with several young ladies, and the whole idea was for them to be able to express themselves through art. I gave them some blank mask and gave them an opportunity to take the blank mask and make it them, make the mask their canvas, to express what they felt and what they've been going through. Each of my clients were HIV positive. So in doing this, for the class was 60 minutes. For the first 40 minutes, you could not talk. You had to cut your phone off. I had some music on, and you had to get into self and work. And it took a minute to get them quiet and to stay on that accord, but after like the first 5 minutes when you really started getting into your work, and I just watched and walked around and watched all the clients really just work. And, you know, some with tears, everybody had half a face, something positive and happy going on this side, something negative going on that side. After the first 40 minutes, then the next thing we did was speak about your mask. And people would pick them, they would pick the mask up, they would talk about how they were abused, they would talk about how they were neglected, they would talk about the HIV virus, they would talk about society and how they felt. The other side may be a thing in saying, you know, I'm still alive. You know, I still have family. I have support. I have someone who cares. You will hug me. You can touch me. And thank you.
You got so much out of that experience.
It's something so simple.
And so I wanted to talk about that a little bit, because what you did was you were an applied psychologist in that moment. You were using an approach to working with someone in a very therapeutic manner. You created white space for them to work with, a nice blank screen for them to work on, silence. You allowed what was going on inside of them to be projected onto a medium. You obviously allowed them to become artists in that moment. And what artists are doing is projecting something onto a medium and allowing others to interact with it. But in that instance, you're allowing them to have a therapeutic interaction with themselves and then speak about it.
Correct.
So what I like about the use, this activity that you did with this group, you have the white mask. It's a group of people that are suffering or that have come to you, and you're doing group therapy.
Right, right.
And one of the things I get excited about in everyday life is finding people who in everyday life are actually doing therapeutic work, and I like to tell them that they're doing it.
Right.
Did you know you were doing group therapy?
Actually, no, I did not. But in terms of the title, but I knew I was making it better. Yeah. So if we say i.e. group therapy is making it better, then yes.
And when you got to the point of asking them to now talk about their mask, this is after 45 minutes of working in silence, where you've been observing some level of emotional process going on for them? Some of them might have even been crying.
Oh, definitely, and definitely. You know, I just at the end of that class, I was like, you know, talk about your mass.
Yeah.
You know, talk about to allow them to purge, and speak on different things, how they received HIV, or how they disclosed, or how they were rejected, or what it made them feel like. And now you're talking to your peers. So something that you said resonated for somebody else. And now they're talking to each other about how they felt. How did you deal with it? How do you deal with it? And what do you do next? Can we keep in contact? I need a friend. I need a sister. I need a support system. All that came out of dealing with that mass, allowing you to now go from being visual to being verbal, to talk to someone like minds who understood your pains, and what you were going through.
So in creating an opportunity for them to create and be artists, you also gave them an opportunity to, on this piece of material, project their feelings, their thoughts, their suffering, and then you gave them an opportunity to talk about it, which I can tell you as a therapist, as a psychologist, is pretty much the talking cure. It is creating a safe space and environment for people to talk about what's going on with them.
Right.
And so, yeah, I like to dub the applied psychologist of the day by having done that.
Thank you very much.
And I'm pretty sure you've done that many times in different forms. You do it with your artwork. I want to jump to something else, if we can. You talked about a turning point in your life at the age of 38 where you got a wake-up call.
Oh, a wake-up call.
That taught you a few things about life.
I had a heart attack. I had a heart attack at 38. And I say that I was blessed to have a heart attack. That the heart attack was a wake-up call for myself to make some changes in my life, to not look at that glass as being half empty or half full, but to look at the glass and say there's something in it. So to flip things and find something positive out of anything that you thought was negative, and go in that direction, and not focus on something negative, and give that energy to that negativity. But all that energy that you're putting over there on that whatever it is, that's negative, that's energy you can switch it over here and do even more positivity for yourself, to keep you moving.
And at the point that this happened for you, you had been an artist already, and you'd been producing and doing what you do, and imagine quite fulfilled at that point. How were you different afterwards?
I was a lot more open.
You thought you were open before.
I did.
Yeah.
I was calm.
Calm.
You know, I learned how to let go and let God. I learned how to not trip over the little things, and leave that alone, and focus on the larger things and the positive things. So it just changed my whole life. It changed my whole thought, and it changed my way of doing the things that I was doing in the past, for a positive energy and not a negative energy.
And we talked before about the energy being important. Where you direct your energy is where things are going to go for you. And if you're directing energy toward worrying about the small things, worrying about negativity, then that's where your mind's going to go.
Correct.
But if you direct your energy toward creating, and toward being creative, and toward sharing, and toward being kind, and communing with other people, and that's where your life is going to go.
Correct.
You just recently got married, and you were just sharing with me that it was quite a celebration.
Quite a celebration. One of the best things that ever happened to me in my life. Most importantly, it allowed me to see just how happy people can be. You know, you have 150 people in a spot, and that joy is elated with everybody. Being in such a positive, the energy was off the roof in terms of just how good I felt. And it was one more thing to say that when you put yourself in that position, that's what you get out of it. And that was a classic day of what happened for both me and my wife.
Yeah, and it sounded like it was a testament to all of the good energy and positivity that you've put out there over the years, and it, as they say, it came back
Oh, tenfold.
tenfold.
Yes.
So what's next in terms of what you're doing with your work? Any new projects that you plan to do?
I want to come off the canvas and work on some figurative statues. I want to bring my images to life, where you can put your hands on them. And
I can do that right now, you know.
a little around them, and you can feel them, you can see them, and they, when I was a kid, I used to just think about seeing everything jump out the closet and walk around in terms of my images. So now I want to bring that into fruition, that I can walk full circle around some image of mine that's standing.
Okay, so we're going from 2 dimensions to 3 dimensions and more.
Correct.
And I noticed in the recent show that you had here in Staten Island that some of your work actually looks like it is coming
Off.
into that direction.
Correct.
It's now not just working in negatives, but it looks like you have other things going on there. Is there wood carvings in there? Is that what I'm seeing?
It's wood, it's spools, it's a mixed media things that's coming together now that I'm taking off the canvas and going 2-dimensional.
And how's been the reaction to that of late?
After 40 years of people knowing my flat work,
Yeah.
it's been received. It's been surprisingly received that people had no idea I could do that.
Yeah.
I had no idea I could do that. So if I take that step, it's now opening up doors for me to understand, okay, and what else can you do? What else can happen? How else can you do this?
You don't even know.
I didn't know.
And you're open
but
to it.
I'm open to it.
All right.
Very open to it.
Well, I'm looking forward to having you back, to seeing you back in Staten Island to do
of
another
course.
show. I'm looking forward to hearing more stories about your work and the applied psychology that you're doing. I may be the licensed psychologist, but I like to go out there and find people who are doing the work so I can tap them on the shoulder and say, "Good job. And by the way, if you want to, work with me, let's just talk."
Y'all heard it.
This is Dr. Fritz Gillette, the Ask Dr. Fritz program. If you want to catch this program, just go to the website, askdrfritz.com. You want to reach Karen Y. Buster, you go to where?
www.karenybuster.com.
Okay, special request. I'd love to see the t-shirts come back because I wouldn't mind wearing some of these things on my t-shirt.
It's on its route.
It's on its route?
It's on
Okay,
its
because
route.
that's what I'm going to be wearing the next time you see the show.
Got it.
All right. Thank you for watching, and we'll check you out soon. Take care.
Thank you.